Alright, part 2 of the MGB battery box escape hatch, sort of. I don't really know how to describe it. Anyway, when we left off, we had finished the hub, and I got the center post welded in there. It has a little square edge so that we can get some torque on it. We cut the hole in the middle, and you can see we've cleaned up and painted the box. It's a nice shape now. It's nice and square and flat, and it's got some good color. I was able to save the sticker, which was a kind of a neat thing. Okay, so let's get on to the next portion of the project here. So this hub, as you can see, I've got an F here marked for the front. The front is the edge up here where there's a lip, so everything can stay oriented. Got these pre-cut so that they'll fit in their little spaces. Okay, get this right. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed on here when I'm just kind of fiddling around with it is on the bottom side of the hub there's the heads from the nails, right? So it made sense to me to make a bushing so that they don't rub. So here you can see I've made a little aluminum bushing that will separate the mechanism and keep the heads of those nails from rubbing on that surface. That way we can get a nice bit of torque and some lubricant in this surface here, and it won't make a lot of racket, and it'll stay nice and steady. And we don't have to worry about wearing those nails down or pulling paint off of here or whatever it is. So this bushing was kind of neat. It's just a little piece of aluminum, scrap from another project, like everything else. And so while I had the aluminum out, the next little piece of the project here is to make the pivot points. Get this back on orientation here. Alright, so the next phase is these pivot points. These little pivot points are going to go kind of like this. Let's see if we can. You can see this is right here is the X where we're going to shoot for the inside of this X. So we're going to orient on this line right here. You can barely see this faint line. And we're going to drill a hole, right? Well, here's the thing about drilling that hole. When the part is extended, it's perpendicular to this flat surface. But when it is withdrawn, it goes to an angle like this. So when we drill this hole, we want to put an angle and have a straight face. So it's going to be kind of an oblong elliptical hole with a straight opening in its end face. All right, so let's go ahead and get these trimmed down from their raw shape and get those holes drilled, and then we'll rivet these into place. All right, so here you can see I've got one of these clamped in place. I've got the goofy elliptical hole cut. You can see the elliptical hole right there. And this is just to demonstrate real quick how this action works on a 90-degree turn. Watch the end of the shaft here. See, it moves out. This is a 90 degrees. And when you move it back, it clamps back down again. There you go. So that's proof of concept. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these cut and drilled. And I'm going to trim a whole bunch of this extra off here and make it nice and round so there's no sharp edges. Moving forward though, it looks really good. Alright, so before I rivet these things in place, I want to do one more test. And what we're trying to get to here is how long is this going to travel? Because we don't want to ever let this come off of the track. If we go too far and it comes out of the hole, then we got a trouble, and everything's going to fall apart. So what I want to do is just confirm before I drill these out that when I turn these 90 degrees, the very farthest that it will go, and you can see I get some intrusion right here. It'll start to hit this and it will stop. The very farthest it will go, and it's gonna be on this side of the wall. So I just need to make sure before I rivet all of these to make sure that the travel doesn't travel too far so that it comes out of the groove. So I think this one's good. I'm going to go ahead and drill this one in place. And then we'll check back in when I get them all laid out. All right, there we go, all riveted in place. The rivets actually don't look so bad on the back side. This is the part that you'll see. I'm going to start working on the handle very soon. Let's go ahead and lay this out so we can do a final test to make sure that it works. I think we'll get it in the car before we do the handle, just to make sure that there's any adjustments or anything, we can make those before we get too far forward. All right, let's put that device in. All right, there you have it. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I got a little vice grip on for a handle right now. But here you go. There's the mechanism. It goes this way. It's just so pleasing to watch. You can see that it gets past the mark. I don't know if you can see there's a mark right here, so that's clear. This is obviously clear. Way clear. You have plenty of penetration. Nothing comes too far back. And we are turning it just a quarter turn. No lube yet, but we'll put some lube on there soon enough. It actually works both ways. It's a little bit better this way, because that's where I have the grooves cut. But there you go. I may actually fashion a spring onto this so that when you let go of it, it goes tight, and then when you turn it, it'll activate the spring, and then when you let go, it'll spring back. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe later on we'll get to putting a spring on there if it's not too much trouble. But right now I'm very happy with the mechanism. It works great. Now all I got to do is work on the handle. Now for the handle part, I have an idea. I saw this latch handle. It's actually a handle for a chest at the hardware store. So what I liked about this is that it has a little thing. See, when it goes upright, you can lock it, and that makes it a little easier for you to turn. Also, my whole hand fits in here, so I can turn a quarter turn real easy. So what I don't like about this is the shape. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this shape out. And the other part of this is this loop right here needs to be flat so that we can engage the handle. I don't want it to be any taller than it is, and I have to put a nut right here in order for it to be permanently connected. So I need to cut this, flatten it, and then cut the edges around so that it will be as flat as that washer. So got a little bit of work to do on this, but I think this is what I'm going to use for my handle. I'm also going to take a little bit of rubber. They have that tool dip stuff. I'm going to tool dip the top of this just so that it doesn't rattle. Rubber against metal won't rattle as much as that. So got a lot of work to do on the top end, but I'm really happy that the bottom end is coming out well. All right, well, didn't go as I had hoped. A couple issues. First of all, on this portion, these are the inside, and they are supposed to intersect at this little cross. This was the measurement. Well, here's the problem with that. When the device is turned, you can see these go in one direction, and see how it gets wider when it's closing, and then when you open it up again, it swings back. So because it swings out, the act of it swinging out, then the measurements they're off, so it can't fit in there. So we gotta move these in. Both these on the back side need to be moved inwards, and this one right here, it encroaches on the hole. So this has to be moved inwards too. So we're going to probably end up moving all of them so that they're all equally moved. a little bit in. So all the rivets have to come out and all these holes have to be re-drilled. So I'm going to minimize the holes on the other side and we'll just re-drill these aluminum pieces. But it was a good test. It wasn't successful, but it was a good test to show me the geometry, and I learned a little bit about the mechanism. So let's make some corrections and then we'll bounce back at it. Stay tuned. let me make some adjustments and we'll go back and do another test. All right, so let's demonstrate. We've got everything all adjusted. Some of these plates, this one in particular was a little tricky, but got everything all adjusted. You know, just put it in place, line up the holes. I don't have the little stubs in yet. Give it a quarter turn, and it is in there. That thing is not coming up. So that's mission accomplished. I could walk away from that and be happy. But right now, next step here is to make a nice handle, to get these steps, these plugs put in, and then a little bit of weather stripping to reduce that rattle. All right, moving forward. All right, there you go. All finished. I got the latch put on. If I had to do anything different, I would probably have left this post just a little bit longer to make room for that stud. After all the washers and shims and everything, it just turned out a little bit too short. But I got plenty of threads, and it looks like it's going to work fine. So this is it in its closed position. When you want to open it, you just give it a quarter turn. It comes right up. You can see I put a little lube in there on everything. This bottom one down here took a little bit of an adjustment because it needed to be off center in order to fit in right. But that's the project. If you have any questions or any comments or anything, just throw them in the comment section. This was a really fun project, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. That's all I got today. Cheers.